Welcome to Soundproof, where your host, Shari Pine, takes you backstage, down front, and behind the scenes for a look at some of entertainment's hottest musicians, producers, engineers, and other people out there on the scene today. And now, here's your host, that cool chick on a hot mic, Shari Pine.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Soundproof. I am still your host, Shari Pine, and I just want to get into it today. I have such a special guest, always a special guest, but this person I have played music with. I've played really music with everybody that I've had on the show so far, but this person is a Harley driving, guitar slinging, sunglass wearing, beer chugging, blues master, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joe Taino. Let's get on it right away. Joe, are you there?
I'm here.
Hi. Hace mucho tiempo, Joe.
So, do you ask for? Do you say something?
Yeah, I said it's been a long time, Joe.
It's been a long time. Yeah, I mean, I think the last time I saw you or you sang, you sang with my band was at BB King's. How long has been BB King's closed? Maybe like 5 years.
I don't know, but I have actually jumped on the bandstand with you and your band several times. You're an amazing guitarist. Can we?
I think it was BB King's.
Yeah, BB King's. Well, I had a couple of gigs there on my own, and you had some gigs there. We all had some gigs, right?
I played BB King since they opened.
I like your shades.
What's that?
I like your shades. I feel like I got to put my shades on now.
Oh, the shades. Well, these are my prescription, but they are the ones that get dark with the sun. And
yeah.
Like I mentioned, it's sunny here in my porch, but I have in case that I have to read something because I can't see nothing.
Well, if it's sunny on your porch, can we all buy plane tickets and fly to your porch?
What's that again? What's it again?
Can we buy plane tickets and fly to your porch?
Oh, for the.
All right.
You could come in here anytime. I'm not that far. Where are you? In New York?
I mean, I like your setting right there. You look at, we got everybody who does these virtual like podcasts and stuff. Everybody's got like a room and stuff, but you got it good because you're chilling with like some nice windows in the background where you can actually see the pane. Wait a minute. Is that a cat?
This is my baby.
Oh, man. Well, I just might have to get my rabbit. You got your rocking chair and the reflection in the window and then the trim on the window. So it all looks very good.
Yeah, thank you.
What's that cat's name?
Yeah, this kitten's been with us for a month now, I say. I had a cat she was old. She was, almost 17, and she was sick for a couple of years. So she had a kidney problem. So finally she passed away, and we were really devastated. My wife was crying every day, and this was in Christmas. So I said, the heck with this. And she didn't want another cat. But you know what? And I didn't want another cat, but just to get her mind out of, thinking about the old cat, I went to a shelter and I got this rascal. She's insane. She's 7 months and she has so much energy. Right now, they shave because they did they spayed her,
Wait a minute.
I like the shaved belly, so I'm constantly kissing her belly.
What's her?
I love
people,
cats.
If you get an operation, Joe will kiss your boo-boo. What's her name, the cat?
Oh, this one is Pepper.
Pepper. Did you say Pepper? Now, okay, Pepper. Like, okay,
Black
we're
Pepper.
talking about cats. I don't love cats.
You don't like cats?
I don't understand cats.
Well, cats are very complex.
You see?
Animals. They choose you. You don't choose them. This is funny, the way I get my cats. The other cat was my wife's, somebody gave it to her. We were together, but it was a baby like this. But this one, I went to the shelter and as I'm walking through the cages, there's a lot of cats there. And all of them are minding their own business. This one put her paw through the because she's tiny, to the cage like that and tried to touch me. I said, okay.
It shows you.
So I opened the thing and she jumped on me and she wanted to go with me.
All right. That's a beautiful thing.
What am I supposed to do?
No, that's a beautiful thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So cats have redeemed themselves when they do something like that.
And very smart. She constantly talking to me. We communicate.
I hear you. She looked like she had green eyes.
Me? Oh no,
Well,
the
I don't.
cat. Yeah, the cat is
The
yes.
cat.
Yeah.
She's got green eyes.
Yep.
Who wrote that song, Green Eyed Lady, Ocean Lady?
There's a golden earring. Golden earring.
Didn't they do Ballroom
Golden
Blitz?
earring, maybe. Ba, 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 da, 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 da,
That's
da,
Golden
da,
Earring?
da.
I thought they
I
did
think it was
Mountain.
no, there was a
No.
mountain. Now you got me. Hold on a second. I think it was the golden earring. Really, I can't find it. Who wrote Green Island?
And you got the chimes? Is that you or is that all in my
Oh,
mind?
that's I have shines. Yeah,
Very nice.
and you know why? I'm gonna tell you in a second. You probably don't believe in that stuff, but
I love the
people,
sound.
Green Lady with P. Yeah. Green Lady, popular American rock band. Oh no, Sugar Love.
Sugarloaf?
Sugar Love. That was the name
Whoa.
of it. Sugar
Wow.
Love.
I'm going to take these off for a second.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, about the chimes are good for you, but especially we have a less than a block from, not even a block, like half a block, quarter of a block from here. We have a funeral home,
Yeah.
and the chimes, keep the spirits,
Okay.
away.
I got you. Okay. So let's talk about, okay. You're a blues guitarist. You are an eclectic, versatile blues guitarist. Maybe you're also another type of guitarist that I'm not aware of, but I know that you can play some rippin' blues. Can you please tell our viewers your background? When did it all start? You got your first guitar or something like that. You were playing your first band, your first gig. Let's give the people like who you are. Who's Joe
Well,
Taino?
I was born in PR in Puerto Rico, and I first got interested in music. I think it was since I was like really tiny, 4 or 5 years old. My youngest, my father's youngest brother, he was in the Navy, but my father was in the Army. I grew up in the military. All my uncles in the Army, in the Navy. So we were always around American people in the Navy bases in Puerto Rico back in the 60s and 70s. There was a lot of Navy bases there. So my uncle used to take me to the swimming pool on Saturdays. The swimming pool that they had, they had like a clubhouse in the Navy base, and you could eat. It was really cheap. You could go to this, restaurant that you pick up whatever you want to eat, like for a couple of bucks. And I mean, I was tiny, but I was on that swimming pool, and the American kids always with the radio, just American music, rock and roll. I mean, 50s, early 60s rock. So that somehow gets in your mind. You grew up with that, so that's all you know. Then, when I was 9 years old, 9 or 10, around nine. Well, I was born in 1955, so whenever the Beatles' Hard Day's Night movie came out, my father bought a new. I remember it was a 1964 Chevrolet, and that day he came with the car brand new. It still had the plastic on the seats and the sticker.
Wow.
And he said, "I'm going to take you guys to the drive-in." So it was just like here. That's what people don't realize. Back then, Puerto Rico was pretty much like a state. So we went to the drive-in, and guess what? They were playing? They were playing Hard Day's Night, the
At
Beatles.
the drive-in. Wow.
And I saw that, and I see Harrison playing that Rickenbacker and John Lennon, and it just blew my mind, And that's in my inside. That's all I want to do, and that music kind of stuck on my head. So a couple of years later, my father bought me an acoustic guitar, and I took about 10 lessons. But I really wanted to play rock. They in Puerto Rico they teach you. Well, back then, the teachers what they wanted you to learn is either classical or you play. If you're not that smart, you don't want to read music and become a real musician. They teach you like guitar trio, folkloric music, which I hated it because I wanted to play rock.
So they wanted to teach you Carlos Montoya y Andres Segovia.
Well, not even that. They want to play like folkloric Puerto Rican music, which is not bad. It's not my thing.
You got your guitar with you? I'd love to hear you play something.
I have a guitar here. Yeah.
Play some of that folkloric. Yeah.
What do you call it? That's how I started with. That was the first, kind of music that I wanted to, learn. But fortunately, the first record I ever bought with my money was Cream, Fresh Cream, Eric Clapton,
Ginger Baker,
and those guys, and that kind of changed my life, because it's somehow when everybody was playing Beatles and the music by the Monkees and the whatever was happening, I just started getting interest in the blues, and after that I got the second Cream album, which is Disraeli Gears, and they had a lot of blues stuff there, and somehow I just like, the first blues tune I learned was Sleepy Time Baby, I'm a sleepy time baby. That's a Cream tune. It's a British blues. It's not the real blues, but it's an intro. When you're a kid, I learned that. I learned, it's in G. Rolling and Tumbling. Well, I'm rolling and tumbling, crying the whole night long. So those were the first, blues tunes I learned, and from there on, I started getting an interest in the blues, and I had a neighbor, my buddy, his brother was older, and he was in California for a minute, so he brought some blues records, like B.B. King and Albert King and that kind of stuff. And then that's how I learned, I learned how to play, Born Under a Bad Sign, Every Day I Have the Blues, that kind of stuff. And I was like 11, 12, but we didn't see in Puerto Rico, we basically had a lot of pop rock. From American music, we had like basically rock, like Elvis and pop stuff, or then the Beatles, and you really didn't have blues there, So everybody looked at me like I'm a weirdo, why this? I go in bands and I just wanted to play this kind of blues or Cream, and they thought that I was a weirdo,
Let me ask you a question, and you're not a weirdo. You're a kick-ass player, and I can confirm, people. Okay, let me ask you a question. So there weren't blues in Puerto Rico. Why? It hadn't arrived there yet. And my second question is back to what you said prior, that you were listening or people were talking about or playing the British blues, but how is that even possible? Because the blues came from like it's American native art form. So what is British blues if not just a ripoff of?
Because the deal, the blues was popular in the late 30s, 40s, maybe 50s, and then completely disappeared, except for the people in Chicago or people, older black generation that still had those records, but nobody cares for the blues. So then this the Stones and Clapton and those guys started recording the old blues tunes, some of the old blues tunes, and then the blues started becoming popular. And Cream, they had a couple of original songs there, but a good amount of their songs they were covers. They were blues covers. But that's the kind of blues that that you were able to get in Puerto Rico. You couldn't go to a record store and get something by Magic Sam or Freddie King. It didn't exist
Or Howlin'
unless
Wolf.
somebody bought it here and brought it
Yeah.
there.
Interesting, the migration of the blues.
Yeah,
Like
the only
it's
kind of
ironic.
blues thing that you would get was the Allman Brothers, and that was later because Allman Brothers became popular in Puerto Rico in the 70s. Not in the 60s. Nobody knew who they were. It's the same thing with Santana. Santana, I guess the first Santana stuff right there after Woodstock. I say, maybe in the 1970, because not until Woodstock Santana was not known at all until Woodstock. Same thing with the people knew Hendrix, but not too many people had Hendrix records. I remember the first somebody loaned me, Are You Experienced? And I put it on. I said, yes. What the hell is that? I couldn't swallow it. And guess what? Then later, 10 years later, I wanted to be Hendrix, and all I played was Hendrix. It took me a while to. It was so complex. It took me a while to absorb that music.
It's interesting.
It was out of control.
It's interesting that you mentioned Hendrix, because I heard one of the more obscure tunes of his come on the radio the other day, which in and of itself is actually a mind blow that they actually played one of those tunes. Like the real, I'm trying to think of what it was, and I was thinking to myself, man, he was the master. He was like,
Jimmy, forget it.
It blew me away. But wait, so if by the 30s or the 40s, early 40s, blues was like done, or 50s actually, it took the English rock bands to,
if it wasn't for them,
to revive it, kind of.
If it wasn't for those guys, I don't know. Maybe somebody eventually would have got into it, but the blues was a folklore. Is the real blues is a folkloric music. It's like the old country, like the old stuff like Hank Williams and stuff like that. Johnny Cash. The only people that dig that is the older guys, even older than me, or they have these new the hipsters in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Cowboys. All these kids from Brooklyn, they all of a sudden they're listening to this old music, which is cool. It's cool. I'm not saying nothing, but I say people from the 70s to the 90s, they didn't care about none of that stuff. If it, like in the 90s, the guy that revived the blues pretty much was Stevie Ray Vaughan. If it wasn't for Stevie Ray Vaughan, if it wasn't for him, I don't know, because the Fabulous Thunderbirds, but the Fabulous Thunderbirds following or generation was very small.
Guys, listeners out there or viewers, if you know anything about Stevie Ray Vaughan, it's interesting that Joe mentioned that, because I've always thought that you sounded like Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Well, thank you. But, I jump in the wagon, because when he got discovered, I was living in Florida. And I played blues with a couple of black bands, like older black people, but I was a rock player for a while. I was playing rock when I got to Florida, so I was a little too rock for them. I didn't know them. I didn't play the blues like they did. I was always trying to show off or to play too fast or to put some distortion on the guitar and that's not the way you're supposed to play the blues. You're supposed to respect the art form. So I got yelled a lot about that, because the one thing I noticed about the old blues guys, I'm talking about old timers. It's all about dynamics. And it's all about the song and the lyrics. Who cares about how good you're in the guitar? That's not important. That's I hate to say it, but that's the white boys blues. that they're all virtuosos and they have to show how fast and how many notes they can play in 3 chords.
So
Okay,
they're
if you want to be a
technicians.
virtuoso, play jazz. Don't play
They're
blues. Don't do
they're
virtuosos in
technicians.
blues.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even Stevie, that he used distortion and stuff, but he didn't play that many notes. He did a conversation. He he was all from the heart, and he was about the song.
It was in the space that was. It was in the spaces that had no music. That was the telling of the story. Right?
They got it all wrong after it. So what I was saying is that thanks to him, I was playing rock with the trio in Florida, and my buddy, the bass player, he bought his record, the first record, and he showed me, you got to check this guy out. We're playing like ZZ Top and Hendrix and Robin Trower stuff, and we had a couple of originals, back then. So he said, no, you got to check this guy out. And when I put it blew my head. I said, whoa, that's what I wanted. That's what I always wanted to be, and that's what I want to do. Why this guy is doing it? Why can't I do it? I always play sort of like that. And then I started really getting into it. And I said, well, you know what? Let me learn some of those songs. And since I play Strat, and he was coming from Hendrix and Clapton. We came from almost the same background. So I started kind of sounding like him, and I took stuff from him. Of course I did. Everybody did, And that was a ticket for me to get back into the blues, full time. And back then in Florida, forget about it. There was a lot of blues bands and a lot of blues gigs, but I wanted to do something else, so I moved to New York, back to New York here.
What else did you want to do?
I wanted to learn jazz, but you know what? I'm not that smart.
But a lot of it. I mean, there's like the jazz head, and then there's the ear player.
I can't. I have learning disabilities. I think I can't concentrate. I can't focus. In music, like putting a paper. I can read some charts, but sometimes my mind goes somewhere else. And
because Joe, because you know what you call those people that you're describing, the people that you're describing that can't focus or whatever you're saying, because they play from the heart. They play from the soul.
Pretty much.
They play from the heart and the soul. They're not technicians. Yeah, they got chops, but you play from the heart and the soul. And that is, what the blues is. It's about.
And I do play some jazz. The other day I started making a list. I know over like 50 jazz tunes. I can do a jazz gig. But I tell people, listen, man, if you want to hear somebody that sounds like Bob DeVoe or like Pat Metheny don't come to this gig, because I don't sound like that. I'm basically a blues player that knows some jazz tunes, and I can make them sound good, but I'm not going to phrase like a jazz guitar phrasing. They have certain vocabulary that I don't know, or I don't play because I come from blues. But I sound decent. That hey, they keep on booking me. They eat it up, so whatever.
Well, you seem to shoot straight from the hip. You have like a gangster tip on you. Let's talk about that for a second. I don't know if y'all know this about Joe, but he drives, a couple of Harleys. I don't know if you do it at the same time, but one at a time. Tell us about your bikes.
I've been a biker all my life. It is something that since I was a kid, I rode. Well, of course, I started with mini bikes, and then a little bigger bike, and then I stopped because my father didn't want me to ride motorcycles. In my first band in Puerto Rico, we were playing out, but not clubs. We were playing like school auditoriums and house parties, and I was maybe 12, 13. But my singer, he killed himself in a motorcycle down the street from my house. So, that was a no-no.
No helmet?
So, I'm sorry?
No helmet?
Talking about the 60s. There's no helmet. And he... so I couldn't buy a motorcycle while I was at my house, living with my dad. But my dad passed, really young. He was 59. So when I moved to Florida, I got my first bike, and I had a lot of bikes, different bikes. But I don't know why I got into Harley. I like the sound of the Harley, so and then also not only that, they're very easy to fix. But I mean, I have all Harleys. The new ones, forget about it. They're all computerized. I can't work on them, but the old Harleys, anything from the 70s and back, or actually 90s and back, because I have a 93 that I take it apart completely and I rebuild the motor and all that stuff. So those are easy to fix, and you could find the parts anywhere, and it's just, they have so much torque, and it's like the sounds gets into your heart, and it's just like, I'm here. I'm
roaring thunder.
I'm a bad mother. You know what I'm saying? So when you want to buy, when you're on a Harley, you feel like you're just indestructible. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a tank. And when you touch that throttle, it just it's like a lot of power. It's like the Japanese bikes are fast, but they don't have that torque. They don't pull your neck out. If you're not watching, you're gonna get
if you don't get whiplash, it ain't a Harley.
Exactly. The Harleys, my white, I have a white Harley with the 8. I use the big bars.
The chopper.
8 hangers. That thing is a monster. Very fast. And the other one is a 77. A very old school, kick, that kind of bike. That's, and then I started. Well, I didn't start it. I played for bikers since I was in Florida. I play for some bad dudes. I mean, some clubs. I'm not going to mention names because I don't want people to know who I work for, but not anymore. But and I got invited to join some of those clubs. But you know what? I'm a musician first. I mean, that's my bikes is just a hobby, And if you want to be part of these clubs, it's 24/7. I don't think a marriage will work with a normal lady. You have to be a lady biker. Some of these clubs, you buy a motorcycle, you have to give them the title of the motorcycle. They own the motorcycle. It's just craziness. You have to, whenever they tell you, okay, you got to be in the clubhouse and you got to clean the club, whatever they tell you to do, you have to do.
You're talking
if
about
a problem with one of the guys and you have to fight, it's not your fight, you have to go and fight.
You're talking about a motorcycle club, or you're talking a
motorcycle
club?
Motorcycle club.
Yeah. I for a minute there, as a musician, I'm thinking club, like you're playing in the club.
No.
Let's hold on a second. That is another show in and of itself. I like that very much. The biker world, and you have like an inside track.
That's craziness. You have to. It's a whole lifestyle. You can't be a musician and a real biker in a biker club. It ain't gonna work.
Okay.
It's not going to work.
Tell us, who have you played with? Wow us. You played with Greg Allman, like Santana. Who have you played with? What?
Who open shows for?
I don't know. Just tell us, like, who have you loved? Your favorite gigs? Who have you loved playing with?
And personally, I know too. I got a lot of people. Starting with Peter Frampton, and he used my guitars because his guitars went down on a plane in I think it was in Venezuela or somewhere, or Panama or something like that. He was on tour. The plane with all the equipment and his famous guitar that went down, and he lost all his guitars and all his equipment. And he came to Puerto Rico, and I was opening the show, and he asked me personally if he could use my guitars. I said, of course. and then funny thing is that years later, I was in Fort Lauderdale working in a music store, and he showed up and he recognized me. I said, Joe, what are you doing? I said, I'm over here, so we became friends,
Sounds like a stand-up guy.
Nice guy. And Peter Frampton, Johnny Winter, I opened 2 shows for him. Ronnie Montrose, unfortunately, he passed away. He, committed suicide. Ronnie Montrose. I know Santana. I know Los Lobos. I know, Johnny Depp. That was later. Johnny Depp. He had a band called the Kids in Fort Lauderdale. Actually, they were from Hollywood, Florida. And we used to share. We play in this place. There was a couple of places, really cool places. There was a place called the Tree House in Hallandale. And of course, their band was really. I mean, they were good. We probably musical and not musically, but I say technically we were more mature, probably better players than them. But they have really good original songs, and they look like $1 million. Well, you see how Johnny Depp looked like back when he was a kid. He was a good-looking guy, man, and all the guys in they had this pompadour and the military jackets, and they had the guitars really low, like Keith Richard, and they had the whole thing going. We were just greasers, Puerto Rican, long hair, like a hippie. Like I looked like one of the guys from Leonard Skinner. So, but we were really good. But
you could write a book.
Anyway, so Johnny, we became friends, and then he moved to California, and there you go. Well, him, I opened show for Eric James. I opened show for Judas Priest. I opened show for
Wow.
Henry Paul Band.
Wow,
The
I
Romantics,
played
Trappers.
with a guy who played with Judas Priest and Etta James and Peter Frampton. I didn't know that. We're gonna have to play again sometime soon.
Listen to this. It's weird. It doesn't make sense, right? We're talking about decades of different types of music. See, when I opened for Frampton and Judas Priest, that was in Puerto Rico, and I had a band called Pelican in Flight, and we were not heavy metal. I hated heavy metal, but we were like hard rock, sort of like almost like Aerosmith type of, kind of like that, and we were very, very popular, and we playing all over the place, on TV also, and we were kind of like the house band in this place called Shannon's Pub, Irish pub in Puerto Rico.
Ha!
Funny, and we were basically the house band there. So, of course, when somebody from the States or from Europe went to play there, I hate to say that I never like to say that I'm the best. That's the bad thing to say. Let's say we were the most experienced band at the time, because there were guys that blew us. They were much better than us before us, but they all left. They were here now in the States. They're older than me.
Excuse me,
and there
were
guys
that
second. Were as good as us, but they didn't look that good. See, it's a whole package.
It's yes.
It's like.
Which brings me, I want to jump in here because we're going to have to wrap up, and I need another show for you because can you play us something?
Yeah. What do you want to sing?
Just play something so that people can hear how wonderful you are, and just let me tilt your computer so that your guitar is in view also, if you can. And ladies and gentlemen, Joe Taino.
Can you see me there?
Yeah, Joe Taino is going to play us out a little bit.
I can do like a regular blues thing.
Anything you want, anything. And next time we'll talk about the book that you're writing.
You won't be back.
Really excellent, people.
That will be the end of me.
Played with Etta James, Peter Frampton. Writing a book.
If you ever say goodbye, I'm gonna come right off and die.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining this special edition of Soundproof. And we're going to head out. We're going to meet up with Joe again.
I'm gonna come right off and die. I don't get lost. Accidents, I'm as selfish as I can be. And if you got any sense, take